Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. You are watching Boost Book, and today, man, it is finally time to close this up. Wow, my car is so dirty from traveling home in the rain last night, but hey, that's all right. We get it cleaned up after she's low. But yeah, we are finally closing this huge gap up. It is gonna change the look of the car. So I did go with Bilstein struts and H&R Sport Springs. I did choose that. So the reason why I chose that one is the bang for the buck, man. I actually got the Bilstein struts. They're like 800 new, I think. They're 800 new. They're the sport struts, that is. They're 800 new, and I got them for an incredible price. A guy on the forums was selling them. He wrecked his S4, unfortunately. They have about 6K on them, 6,000 miles on them. And we are gonna match those up with the H&R Sport Springs. The car's gonna be dropped a little more than an inch and a half, about an inch and 3/4. And man, it is going to look beautiful. I cannot wait. Now, I was thinking about going to coilovers, but just the performance you get from a Bilstein and H&R setup, I feel you can't beat that. I really do, unless you spend some, you know, incredible amount of money on coilovers, which I was looking at, like BC coilovers or H&R coilovers. The bang for the buck I got, it's gonna ride incredible, and I'm gonna show you the installation. So let's get to it right now. We are gonna start disassembling everything. I'm going to pop the hood, and we are going to remove that plastic rubber piece here. That way we have access to the top of the strut. So let's get to that, guys. Finally time.
Messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels, they come and go.
All right, guys, so we will be doing this without removing the pinch bolts. So the first thing we're gonna do is take these rubberized, like painted plastic pieces out. You might have to jam a screwdriver in them. They're right here, and they are right there. The other one, there's two of them. And we'll take that out, and that's gonna reveal two bolts, and we will take those out, or two nuts. I'm not sure, but let's do that first.
And they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget. But you're breaking down my walls again, just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you are, we always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling? Why do I, baby, why do
All right, guys, so those rubber pieces are taken out. Anything that's rubber and glued to the car is always a pain in the neck, and they're pretty mangled up. So basically I just hammered a needle nose into them and pulled them out, and yeah, as you can see, they are open now, and some pretty rusty nuts, lock nuts are on there. I did spray some penetrating fluid on it, which I know we will need a lot of, especially when we get down to the control arms, because since we won't be loosening the pinch bolt, we are going to be loosening the lower control arms to wiggle that out, and that is what we're going to do. So now I'm going to jack up the car, take the two front wheels off, and get started on taking that assembly out. Let's do it. I am so excited.
I love the way you are, we always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feeling?
Alright, guys, front wheels and tires are off. I'm going to start spraying down all of the control arm bolts that I'll be taking off, and I have a feeling that's really going to be the most difficult part, is just breaking those control arm bolts and getting them off. But yeah, let's do it. Let's get to it. First thing we are going to remove is the sway bar end link right here. We're just going to remove the bolt that's in there. It is penetrated, and hopefully it'll come out. So let's see how it does. Alright, guys, so that came off very easily, and next thing we're going to do, this looks like it might be a little bit difficult because of where the bolt is in, but we're going to remove that lower pivot bolt on the lower control arm, so we're going to do that now, and we'll see how that goes. I did get that lower control arm pivot bolt out, so this is free now. And so what I did have to do, it was a little tough at first because I did not make enough room for myself. I'm sorry for the wind noise, it's a little windy. But I said this in my other videos working on this car. As long as you make enough room, everything is easy. So I had to completely take the sway bar off, which I failed to mention. It's really easy. There's just 4 nuts holding it on. Very easy. And I also took the belly pan off, and then it came out pretty easily. It's a little bit tight, but honestly, pretty simple. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to start taking the lower shock bolts out, which are right there. And we'll go from there. So pretty easy so far, really not too bad once you make enough room for yourself. Not bad at all. Alright guys, so the lower shock bolts are out. As you can see, they came out really easy, as well as the lower pivot bolt for the front side lower control arm. And that one was very difficult to get out. It's very tight, but we managed to get it out. Now we are going to start unbolting from the top, and that way we could drop the shock right down. Let's do that.
Staying up when I go out, you gotta know I'm all yours. But when I say what's that about, you start slurring your words. Tell me.
Alright guys, so we did get the struts and springs out. There is the assembly right there. And it was definitely time for new ones. It looks like these have been on the car since 2001. Pretty rusted up. So one thing I do have to say is I am not comfortable using a spring compressor. They are extremely dangerous. So I am going to pay Ian's Speed Shop up in Scranton to put the springs in a machine, which is much safer than using a handheld spring compressor. I cannot stress that enough. Do not use one if you do not feel that you could use one properly. So we will go and get that done now. He's going to put them together for me, and then we will get the Bilstein H&R sport suspension on here, and she is going to look great. So let's get to that. Alright guys, we are back, and the springs and the struts are put together, and I'm going to roll the film of me putting this back together. So it is very important that when you put these control arms on, one, you use blue Loctite on the bolts and nuts, and when you tighten the bolt and nut on the control arm, you have to make sure that the car is at the ride height. That way you don't put any extra stress on the joint when you are tightening it on the control arm. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so it's actually a couple days later right now than when we were just installing the front suspension. The next day I installed the rear suspension, but it was pouring out, it dropped 20 degrees, and it was super windy, so I just could not make quality content in that weather. It just wasn't good. So what I'm going to do to make up for that is I am going to leave a link down in the description of a DIY that I used to install the suspension, and it was flawless, went in great, and I will talk more after I show you guys what the car looks like right now. But one thing before I do release the car and show you guys what it looks like. So as you know, I have the nice silver calipers that I painted a long time ago, and I put the Audi Sport symbol on them. And I actually rushed when I did that, and they're starting to peel a little bit. And we're going to be starting to really make this into a really pristine B5 S4 with the little details like that. And I'm going to make a DIY video of how to make the calipers look flawless. And I want to know what color you guys want to see. I don't like red. I'm thinking about going with the silver again and the Audi Sport logo, or I might change the logo up a little bit, go with something else. I also saw some light metallic silver S4 owners go with like a baby blue or a lighter blue, and that looks sick, especially with the silver and the black wheels. But let me know down below what color you want to see the calipers as. And hey, how about we release this S4 to you guys? This thing looks so good, so happy with the results. Let's get to it.
The seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea, into the blue. They change, but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through. You came into my life, just a good mother season. Not for them, just a time, just a good mother.
All right, guys, so the H&R Sport Springs with the Bilstein B8 Sport Struts absolutely is the way to go if you have a B5 and you want a nice drop, a nice looking drop that still handles incredible and is comfortable, man. I will release a video, a review video of the handling with this car now, which is amazing. I don't want to ruin anything, but a couple things I do have to say about the suspension. One, I was gonna go with the H&R race springs, but that would have been way too low. I do rub when I'm on the highway and hit a big bump. I do rub a very minuscule amount, so I can't even imagine with the race springs lowering the car more than 2 inches. I cannot imagine how low that would be and the problems I would run into with that. And I'm just really happy with how it looks right now. The second thing I do have to say is make sure you get an all-wheel alignment done after installing suspension, because when you lower the car, it affects the toe a little bit. It'll affect the camber. The car still drives straight, but it will eat away your tires a little faster if you do not get a four-wheel alignment. Make sure you positively do that. But after a couple weeks of driving, because springs do have to set, so the car will lower a little bit more once they get worn in. The third thing is make sure when you are replacing the suspension, you take those control arm bolts out, the original ones, and the control arm nuts. Make sure you replace those with OEM ones, because most of those are torque to yield bolts and torque to yield nuts. It's really just a bolt that's torque to yield. What it does is it stretches when you get to a certain amount of torque, and it'll tell you to like tighten it an extra degree. Make sure that you get new bolts and nuts. But all right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys all next time.